Welcome everyone. My name's Vida, and this is Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast, a podcast where we discuss current news and developments happening in the cricket world with a special focus on Sri Lanka cricket. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host Sohan. How are you going, Bora?
Good with pretty busy with matches kicking off now here in Victoria. I'm guessing you would be the same. So bodies on the weekend, but we're enjoying playing the game, talking about it, and now watching more games with a lot of cricket around the world happening.
I agree with you, Bora. My body is so, and yeah, starting to feel the age now, but we carry on for the love of the
Yeah.
game. We got a lot to talk about, but I think we will talk about LPL, which has started last week and it's in full swing at the moment. And Ashes cricket has begun, and Australia has won the first test at GABBA. It was a comprehensive win. But we'll start with LPL, Bora. Your team, Jaffna Kings, they're doing well at the moment.
Yeah, they are a powerhouse squad. Just if you look at the names and the players, and it's just one of the strongest outfits we've had domestically there. I think you name it, we've got the best spinners in the squad there, got a strong batting group, and you got a T20 legend as overseas player in Shoaib Malik. So they are setting well. I'm sure most of the other franchises would be asking for a few players from that strong squad because that's a strong bench. So setting camp well there, I think they lost the first game, but after that they've been back on track, just been on to it. Mahesh Deekshana, what he did for the Sri Lankan team is doing the job up there. Avishka was opening, so
Yeah.
looks like his role's changed in franchise cricket, gone back to open rather than slotting into the middle order. When we start playing international cricket, we might have to see whether it's a short-term fix in the Sri Lankan batting order or whether it's a long-term fix where he'll come off franchise cricket and bat in the middle for Sri Lanka. Nonetheless, pretty good kickoff. They're off the blocks early for a strong team. The boys you're rooting for seems to be behind a bit at the moment, but early tournament, they'll hopefully kick off, come back strong. Angie might have a part to play. He has to get fit, and if he can be part of that squad or playing group, that will be good to have.
Yeah, you're right. Colombo team is captained by DDS at the moment, and Chandimal nearly got us through last night, but we only got one win at the moment. Looking at the table, Bora, Dambulla
Yeah.
Giants topping the table with 3 wins, and Jaffna second, but they got game in
Yep.
hand.
Yep.
Then Goal Gladiators, then Kandy, then Colombo. But as you said, like it's still early stage, because it's only 5 teams. Only one team's going to miss out from the playoffs, so there's a lot to play for. Looking at
Yeah.
the players, Bora, it's I haven't seen any of the youngsters, coming out with strong performances yet. It's all the same names what we've been seeing in the last few months. Doing well in this tournament so far.
Yeah.
Anyone got your attention?
I guess a guy I've been keeping an eye out is Taridu Ratnayaka. The guy he played for SSC. I think he still plays for SSC.
Yeah.
Bowls with both arms when needed. So a spinner who's able to bowl right arm offis and left arm finger spin as well.
Yeah.
And he seems to be playing a key role out there. Early signs are he seems to be a new name that we are looking out for. Spot on how you said about the players. It's the same group of players that is put in the mix. Good to, Chandimal, strong performance by him in the opportunities he's got. Another T20 domestic player would be a Chaturanga De Silva. He's doing well there. And I think it's that 5-member team and the reliance on that strong group of players. That means less opportunity for youngsters or a new player to come out.
Yeah.
A guy I was keenly following, I wanted to see him play. He hasn't featured yet. He's Ashane Daniel, the off spinner.
Yeah.
Bit similar to how Akila Dhananjaya bowls. He can bowl more with the new ball. I just feel if I could see him in the mix, I think he'll be good value for the next few years for the Sri Lankan camp. Mahesh Deekshan is a strong performer, but we need that second player behind him just to egg them on. Praveen and Lasith Tembuldeni are bouncing off each other. Mahesh and Ashen Daniel would be good to have. Ramesh Mendes is there in the the
Dambulla.
test group as well as maybe the 50 over group as much. But at just the T20 format, I think you need those players standing out. But youngsters wise, early tournament, again, early signs. Keenly following that next group. I mean, the last LPL threw out a few good youngsters that, I mean, we pretty much know are proven performers now at the moment.
Yeah.
So we look to that. What are your thoughts on the overseas players, and what's your assessment on them?
Yeah, but looking at the overseas players list, they are all season campaigners, starting from the legend Shoaib Malik, Mohammad Hafiz, and you got Ravi Popara, you got Imran Tahir. They're all season campaigners, and most of them are doing really well. And the spinners, especially, if you were there, you would have loved these pitches. I mean, they're turning, and with bounce, almost all the spinners enjoying the conditions. Looking at the runs chart, Phil Salt is leading with 180, and Chandimal, Dasun Chanaka, Tisara Perra, Dick Weller, Kola Cadmore. So as I said, it's all known names. There's no one really new in there. What are your thoughts about the overseas pros? They seems to be enjoying this tournament.
They seem to be, and Shoaib Malik is, we can harp on for ages. He's such good value to have, I mean, he proven performer, plus a lot of the games. It's because he's that middle order bat that guys can learn how to play through those stages, which is an area a lot of international teams lack, that middle order bat who can pull through and finish the innings. So having him, just picking his brains, it'll add immense value. Phil Salt and Tom Bandon with the England boys out there. They are strong T20 performers. It's a good challenge for them playing on turning tracks. Tom Banton, I mean, last year he played in the Big Bash. So, I mean, on flat tracks, they go really hard. Phil Salt, again, the same. They love taking the game ahead. That's England's white ball cricket reflecting, I mean, the good times they've had in the last few years. So those guys are pretty dominant. The Pakistani players, West Indian players, Imran Tahir would be immense value. What we want to be smart now is to, whilst we get use of the overseas players, we got to throw in some of our local players to handle the situations. That's something we got to start pushing in. I know there are key spots, but if one or two spots a Sri Lankan boy can hold fort or learn or try to get that edge going, that will be a perfect result for us. Like slowly put the overseas players in the back seat while our boys take over. That's the gradual process you want to see happening.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, in some teams, you can see that's happening already. I can see Ramesh Mendes, the way he bowls, you can see he's full of confidence, and he's bowling according to the situations. And, you can see from his body language, he's all over it. You're right. I mean, this is the second year in succession this tournament's happening. We can already see the pluses from this tournament, because the quality of the tournament is already a bit higher than last year. The first round matches are already all the matches are played at Kettarama Stadium. So that's one reason, because you're using pitches every day for 2 games, and that's why the spinners are playing a big role there, and the weather conditions, a lot of rain in the last few days, so that plays a part as well.
I was just going to add to it with I think even in the lead up to it, like we finished off a 1-day tournament which was pretty much washed out. A lot of the games were stuck, especially the games in Colombo. So that meant even the Ketarama didn't have time for the wickets to be prepped. There wouldn't have been cross rolling across the square or
No.
getting work done on it, because
Yeah.
it was always, on the covers, or I would have been wet. Most
Mm.
likely it would have been open, not being covered. But so that meant you need more drying time. That's why
Yeah.
I guess we are seeing it looks unprepared, square turning tracks because of that reason.
Yeah.
Overnight, couple of, 2 days worth of roll-ins not going to help you out. We've seen when pitches are prepped, you need a good lead up into it. And weather
Yeah.
is a key factor. It's something that was out of their control.
Mm.
Um, if we had that prep time Monday, these wickets would have held more stronger, held it
Yeah.
together. Now they're trying to get in much as possible, roll in as possible, and to play,
Yeah.
which is happening. It seems to be turning square at the moment, but hand in hand, the wickets will improve hopefully.
Mm.
If they keep, like, I'd be, as a my advice for the camp would be, try to keep a couple of squares away so that it has more rolling time, so you can use into the back
Yeah.
end of it. If they do that, we might see some improved wickets, rather than just going from square to square to square, and
Yeah.
not having time to prep it up.
Yeah.
So
I mean, looking at the square, Bora, I mean, you can see that they prepared like 4 or 5 pitches to
yeah,
use throughout the tournament, and yeah,
yeah,
maybe, but you can see it's dry. You don't see any, not even a little tinge of green there. So must be
yeah,
really hard to keep it nice and hard. But
yeah,
those things you can't control. But the outfield and the pictures we see from the drones, it looks magnificent. The ground, they've done a
yeah.
good job. The Sri Lankan ground staff, they're the best in the
Oh,
world
the
when it comes
best.
to,
They're the best.
yeah,
Yeah,
looking after the grounds. They're the best.
we'll cover the ground within, you name it. There's hundreds people on an international game. In the past we've seen the whole ground being covered, and
Yeah.
I jokingly say we need to get sponsors on the covers just to get revenue on through the TV networks, because we cover the whole ground, and then we peel it off. We're good to go. You don't see that
Yeah.
happen in a lot of grounds around the world. So hats off to them. It's the tournament's kicked off. We know the value of it through the early part to the middle stages, which is happening now. Early signs are Jaffna Kings setting up well as favorites.
Mm.
Um, Dambulla getting there. Gold Gladiators there almost. Colombo and Candy are
Fighting for the last
fighting
spot.
for the wooden spoon at the moment. They are pretty much behind the 8 ball. Um, just touching base on the Candy team, they are very light on their bowling attack. It's
Yeah.
they'll struggle to contain a lot of teams, even on a wicket that's turning square. They seem to be struggling because Jaffna's got all the spinners.
Yeah.
So Candy is struggling with a few. I'm not sure whether they're able to get some players into the squad. If I was in that camp, I'll be looking at who can I, draft in as spinners from this squad, at this stage of that squad, because it doesn't look like we have that spinners. I know TM Sampat's playing in that squad as that spin all rounder, but cricket's progressed a bit more, where you need some quality. You can't have half and half spinners playing. You need a
Yeah.
stronger spinner in that squad, and that I feel they'll have to sort their bowling out, if they want to be up fighting for that third and fourth spot. They'll need their bowling coming through.
Mm.
Your boys should be all right for the moment. They structure in a few wins, and they'll be sneaking to be the fourth. And in the short tournaments,
Mm.
sometimes late momentum helps.
Yeah. Well, it's only five teams, so that helps. You just have to
Yeah,
have a few more wins under your belt, and you can grab that spot. But going
yeah,
forward, Bora, I was thinking about this, right? We almost need 6 teams in this tournament just to have it a bit more
yeah,
competitive,
yeah,
just to up that competitiveness. Because if it's only 5 teams, and
yeah,
if 4 teams are, like already made the top 4, the competitiveness will drop down, I think, because we have enough players to build another team. It's not like we don't have players in our domestic system.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing they started with 5, because if we suddenly had so many teams, the quality would have dropped. Now, coming off the second year, we see the need to have that, because there was a lot of uncertainty, right? Last year, when this
Yeah.
tournament was in the mix, we weren't sure how many overseas players will sign up.
Yeah.
Number one. So then the overseas players eating up 4 slots kind of put away a few of the domestic players in out of the mix.
Yeah.
So last year we knew that, but it was a good tournament where even some of the junior, like Jaffna Kings, a strong team now because on the back end of all their juniors doing well.
Yeah.
So now they've suddenly gone with the seniors in that. That's a powerhouse team. Because Chaturanga De Silva there, Upul Taranga is in the squad. He'll be a handy opener to have. Any team would want him. So they've managed to come out on the other side of it with a good squad. Now, like I said, yes, there are more players outside this circle that are good enough to be, in a mix. So in the next few years, if we are talking about the long-term nature of this tournament, we can slowly introduce one more team. That means it gives a bit more of exposure for the outer circle squads. And then we've got to attract more overseas players coming in.
Yeah.
So the organizers are probably thinking down that track. From a point of view, the 16 member makes sense in a squad because that means throughout the week there's a team always that there's matches been happening rather than one team having to sit out in a round. But I'm guessing they'll probably be looking at this. The short-term goal in the LPL was probably to get things kicked off.
Yeah.
5-member squad, if at all overseas players don't come and we don't attract any, franchises. Number one, we'll be able to make it with a strong domestic tournament of players in that 5. If we had 6 and if like no franchise, no overseas players, franchises pulled out, it would have been a real struggle. So that would have been the thinking behind it. Now it's right. We've set the base up. We're attracting a few talent overseas as well as more franchises being interested. I mean, ideal scenario would have been to give this 6th team for one of these new teams, that new sponsors that came on board, rather than kicking the old Jaffna Alliance out of it. So that's the mistake they've made. But we are right there with us. 6 team is something that we need. To those fringe players like Ashane Daniel, like I told you, he's struggling to get a game. I like to see him in the mix. If you had that 6 team, Jaffna Kings, that squad would have dropped about 4 players. Everyone drops 2 players, and that's their 6-player squad. Plus the outer circle of players. Some of those players who missed out in that squad, that 11.
So next year, let's have 6 teams. We'll have games in Colombo, Kandy, Dambulla, and Hambantota. Oh, goal. Yeah. Well, we don't have lights at goal, but we can have a couple of day games there.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I was basing on the franchises.
Yes.
But you're right. We'll have to play out in.
Imagine the crowds we can bring in because every time we play in Dambulla and Suryavava, we get packed crowds. So hopefully with the COVID now slowly going away and people are getting used to social distancing and everything. So maybe next season will be more exciting with matches playing all around the island.
I was just a quick one to wrap up the LPL chat we are just having. I enjoyed the comment Mickey Arthur put about Pathum Nissanka. He is Sri Lanka's T20 opener and he should be playing that role right now. I think the franchise he was playing for kept him out. I don't agree with that. I think unless he's injured, that's something we don't know. that's his role. He has to play that. He has to play at every given opportunity that role to grow into that. Because coming off a high of what he did in that T20
Mm,
World Cup, you don't want domestic franchise cricket dropping that or giving him, that doubt to think, oh, hang on, can I do this role back or not?
mm,
That uncertainty has to stop, and it was a good. I mean, social media is the one we are able to hear people's opinions and thoughts. And Mickey Arthur being I mean, on the back of him noticing it was good. And I'm hoping that this is the like discussions these guys have to have and say, look, he is our premier T20 opener for Sri Lanka. He has to do the role. So that's something I just wanted to touch base. The naughty three are back as well, so they'll
yeah.
be keen to make things right from a cricket team point of view. Strong performers. We know how strong they are.
Mm.
Um,
This is the opportunity.
yeah, they've
Yeah,
got a role to play. I know they've made
yeah,
mistakes. Mistakes happen. We got to bounce off and come back. This is the first stage for them, and good luck to these players so that they can push, keep making it hard for the selectors.
yeah. You reckon Mickey Arthur will sign Pathum Nissanka for Derbyshire for the Blast?
That will be a perfect scenario. Mickey Arthur has to. I mean, I was giving it a bit of thought, right? Um, just going off topic. I think we're going from T20 cricket to a bit of um, county cricket. Is Mickey Arthur's moving to the county coaching setup? We know Sri Lankans would love to play county cricket, get exposed more. Pathum Nisanko, Dimut Karunaratne should be on the plane playing for Derbyshire under
Yeah.
Mickey Arthur. That's the development we want to see. And I know we'll don't want to be sound controversial, but if he enjoyed his stint here, if you sign one of those boys, Manito Hasaranga will be bit off his budget to sign. I think they'll be struggle to get the coin across,
Even
but
Chavira.
even Chamira.
Yeah.
I like them having a season. We've like all our greats have gone and played season in county season, and we've seen things happen. They've progressed well.
Mm.
It's been pretty quiet since of late. I think Dimut had a stint lined up, but I think he had to pull
He
out.
couldn't go there because of
Go
COVID.
there. But it'll do a world of wonders for them. So, Mickey Arthur, if you're listening in, got to sign one of our boys up for the season. So,
Absolutely. No. I mean, Dimut's hungry for runs. He doesn't have opportunity to make runs. He's in top form, so sign him up. I think let's wrap our LPL leg of this episode there. So both of us live in Australia, and it's finally proper cricket has started. The Ashes cricket. When you wake up in the morning, all you hear about is Ashes cricket these days on TV, radio, everywhere. And first test at GABBA just finished, and Australia won it comprehensively. Once again, the scars and the bad dreams of sending the opposition in by Nasser Hussain must have put some doubts into Joe Root's decision to bat first at a green GABBA pitch, Bora. They got all out for 147, and from there they were always behind. And Australia, they managed to, at one stage they lost 5 wickets, but Travis had made a magnificent 150 to help Australia to put up a big score. And again on the third day, Australia was in a spot of bother. England were batting well. Joe Root and David Malan were batting well, and it looked like they were gonna survive the second new ball the next day, but they lost their way, and they lost the test match. Pat Cummins as captain for the first time. Perfect test match for him. 5 wickets and a win. What can you ask for when you're captaining your first game? 1-0 for Australia. And Adelaide Test, much talked about Adelaide Test next week. Bora, hopefully Anderson and Broad will play in this test
Yeah, I
for
think
England.
from an English point of view, they just want to forget this game. They knew it was going to be tough playing at the Gabba, but this was pretty much, well, I mean, it wasn't what they expected. Yes, you're exactly right when you said the toss, Nasser Hussain, it's talked about. Like when he was captain, this was when Steve Waugh had his invincible team, where Nasser Hussain won the toss and decided to bowl, and it was a shocking result in terms of the runs they piled up, Australia. So whoever goes out there has that. It seems they can't shake it off. And lead up into the Brisbane game, it was wet weather, undercovers, things. Everything looked like a ball first track. I think even Pat Cummins said it was a 50-50 choice. It's just that everyone knows that the Gabba, if you're in, you tend to score runs. But yeah, unfortunately, Joe Root will have this monkey on his back as well. Would have given another go? Would he bowl or would he still bat? I have a strong suspicion he would bowl. Strong suspicion that if Joe Root wins, can replay it, he'll bowl first. But nonetheless, Pat Cummins, good way to start. Also, Travis Head. There was a lot of debate going back and forth. We were in the Kawaja camp, but
Still in it.
still in it. Kawaja might be opening.
Yeah,
Still
he's
want
ready
him
to
in the
bat
11.
at any position.
He can bat any position.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Averaging 96 open in the batting.
yeah, even better. 16 Australia, just slowly.
Yeah.
But I think with this group, they'll give Marcus Harris a go. Now that Harris has age, I mean, that's the right thing to do. But still in the Kawaja camp, just quickly. But like, if you get every pluses, like Nathan Lyon, I mean, they call the GOAT here, finger spinner or spinner, done so well, 400 behind his name. He'll just carry on. Like it's the strongest Australian bowling attack after McGrath, Lee, Vaughan, and probably Gillespie, or maybe in that 4 fast bowler group that they had. These groups equal at the moment with what they are putting out there. Captaincy, he couldn't ask for anything better. All the decisions he made was good. Being a captain, gets first pick of going at the tail as well to get the 5 first. So just a quick
how good is that? Wish I had that option.
No, so but he bowled the house down as well. So I don't know if Hazelwood's. It could have been a smart decision just to hold back in bowling, but I don't know whether he's got just a soreness somewhere around that. We'll hear more when the Adelaide test starts. Alex Carey behind the stumps, 8 catches on debut, so he looked so easy. Like there was the first wicket he got off Joe Burns, which was just back of a leg. He just caught it without any issues. Looked so comfortable behind the stumps.
If you don't hear anything about, or if the commentators don't talk about the wicketkeeper, that means he's doing well. You don't notice when the wicketkeeper is good. So he's done a good job.
Exactly. Cameron Green's coming of age. He's been talked a lot about here in the circles as the fear guy to look out for. Australia's never had a strong all-rounder. I mean, never had the need for it because of having flat tracks that the batters can cash in, and you need more specialist bowlers. That's always been the case. Unlike in England, like your Ian Bothams, Ben Stokes, now Andrew Flintoff, there's always a bit in the wicket where they need that bowler to that all-rounder set up there. Australia has never been a big. I can't think of a strong all-rounder that has played for
maybe
Australia.
Shane Watson, the last
Shane Watson to a certain extent, but it's
he's a top order batter.
Yeah, has been that stronger batters like who takes the game away. I mean, the number one best batter we know is Ricky Ponting. Then even the likes of Michael Clark, now David Warner, Steve Smith, Labuschagne, they're doing well. Poor Jack Leach got thrown. Looks like got a pass sent in. He's just knocked out. Got into hospital by playing him in this group. Against, I mean, two guys who have bats. The only two right-handers got an average of 60 each. The left-handers will take him apart, and the plan was set. They just wanted him. That's a good statement to make as well. Kick the spinner out of this group, So he was hit around the park. That's not a good start to the series. Now you see why Moeen Ali didn't want to travel out here as well. So
they could have used Moeen Ali in that pitch.
yeah.
I don't think they'll use the spinner at Adelaide, because they can use Joe Root's or spin, and they can bring both Anderson and Broad.
Yeah, I mean,
and with Walks and Wood if he's fit.
Yeah, I guess now the eyes are on, okay, those two guys have to play in Adelaide. The only thought I could think of it is they knew they were gonna lose at the GABBA. They'd want that, okay, let's not scar the two best bowlers we got. Let's have them ready for the Adelaide test, and from there let's try to start the series. Okay, the Ashes. That's the only reasonable excuse I can find. It's like a shocker to see guys. They were running out drinks, and if you have carried an injury, you think they'll keep them on the ice, but
and they were bowling full tit in the nets.
Exactly.
1 hour straight.
Didn't get that. I thought at least one could have played, and I mean, Broads had done really well against Warner, so he should have at least played to set that up, at least given England that chance. That's something we might hear through the grapevines what really happened there. But I mean, couple of years ago, I think it was last year or the year before, England were playing, I think it was West Indies, and Stuart Broad didn't get picked in the first test. And he showed his disappointment in the media. He said, like, he should be playing, blah, 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 you name it.
Nothing
Haven't heard anything at the moment. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know.
So you're reading between the lines and saying that it was a plan altogether?
Yeah, or they didn't want to play as well. If Stuart Broad wanted to play, maybe he was relieved he didn't play. But from a Sri Lankan point of view, like, we know how strong we had Gaul, right? And when we know now when the guys are playing at the GABBA, it's the
GABBA Tour.
The GABBA Tour, they call it, yeah. But not many survive that. India was good to survive there, but not many. So,
but when you look at the record, it was a great win. But you had to look at the circumstances as well. That was the last test of the series, not the first test of the series. That Australian bowling attack, they played 4 tests in 5 weeks, and they were tired. They were not at their best. I'm not taking anything away from that victory. I mean, that was a great win, but it's not the same when you play Australia first test of the summer at GABBA or the last test. It's big difference.
Big different,
yeah.
I guess Australia probably go with the same 11.
Unless they bring in Khawaja for Paris.
Yeah, I'd like to see that happen. But if we're thinking, I mean, all these group are like, if Khawaja comes in, Warner, Khawaja, Smith, they're all of the same age. So you'd rather give that Harris that time to settle in. So when those three move out of that group, they've got Marnus, Harris, Head, and Greens, and those guys just holding that order up. But yeah, with a Khawaja for us would be lovely. But Ashes, I mean, because of the people not traveling out to Perth, they need to find a venue to play. So Hobart's got the green light to
Day
host
and night.
Ashes Test match, so that's good.
Mm.
Um, England wouldn't mind that happening if they can, hang in there, come back.
Mm.
They'll love to play under that conditions. So Adelaide and Hobart I mean, if it was to work in their favor,
Yeah.
um, they'll be happy to play those two games. Where in Australia would take Melbourne and Sydney. So um, don't know, but early signs. You reckon? I know every strong Australian player loves the series to be 5-0. That's what they always come up and say, 5-0. Um, but England has to pick their pieces with the bat. Oh, that's a shocking batting display there. So lots
Yeah.
of work in the camp.
Well,
Um,
no, it's not going to be 5-0, Bora. I mean, if England want to be, put up a fight, they'll have to win at Adelaide and draw at MCG.
yeah,
Then Sydney, if they can hold on to a draw,
yeah.
then go to Hobart and win it. But
Yeah.
don't know whether the bowlers will be fit by that time. That's the only worry.
Yeah.
And I'll mention another thing. With Australian bowling attack, like if you can get through the first 30 overs of that new ball, that's
Yeah.
where you cash in, because this Australian bowling attack is not the same as they used to be 2-3 years ago when it
Yeah.
comes to the old ball.
Yeah.
You know. so
Wrong hit with a
so
yellow
so
background in our. Uh,
so
uh,
that's where you cash in with this bowling attack. But it's hard with the new ball. Stark swinging the ball with pace, and
yeah.
Hazelwood is the new McGrath, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's relentless with his length
He'll
and
come good.
line.
He'll come good.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's exciting series to watch.
mm.
I think Adelaide will be again a different atmosphere, twilight game. It's good entertainment there. A lot of activity after the sunsets.
Yeah,
Um, everyone's talking about the Ashes here. Love the cricket happening. I mean, even at work, there's guys, you're listening in on the radio, just want to see how things are happening. And you try to grab and watch the game as whenever possible. So it's good for us. Good things to talk about. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, we are keeping an eye out on the LPL as well. I know there's a bit of a time difference for us, but
mm.
with recorded games to watch, if we miss the
Yeah,
action or if possible we stay up and watch a game, we're up for it. That the game which Chandimal almost pulled it off was a good
yeah.
one.
That's a
That's
good one. You're right about Adelaide, Bora. I would love to go there, but start of the season, I'm captaining my team. So I asked my club, I asked them to plan your summer around cricket. So I can't just leave now because we got a couple
yeah.
more games to play before Christmas. So maybe Boxing Day test. Maybe we can meet up at MCG, Bora.
Yeah, could be one. Looking forward to it. If it's going to be a sellout crowd this year. So
Mm.
um, yeah, setting up well for that. The Big Bash leagues kicked off here as well, which goes hand in hand with. And I mean, every summer there's a test series happening. This summer it's the Ashes. Um, Matthew Wade's hit the ground running. He's opening for the Hobart Hurricanes. Few of the local players getting more exposure, but there is a drop in the tournament because of the players getting picked up
Yeah.
into the Ashes squads and having bigger bubbles probably. There's
Mm.
also Lions versus Australia A happening, so the Big Bash seems to have dropped a few players. Andre Russell has found his way on a
Yeah.
plane out here. I know there was few chat about him maybe landed in Colombo, but then seems to have either was thinking about Pakistan, but then landed in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Um, so, but it was interesting. There was chat about him in that squad where he has to sit separately, or you can't give a high five
Yes.
to him and stuff like that while he's playing because of
Yeah.
the short in that bubble we
Yeah.
talk. COVID's thrown there are new rules made up as we go along just to isolate players or try to reduce the risk of this COVID infection. So there'll be more weird rules coming up as we go, as things start unraveling with these COVID things.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap up. Bora, let's keep an eye on LPL and Ashes. We'll have another episode next week and talk all about it. And lots of feedback again. Sorry we didn't have time to talk about the comments and the questions. We'll do a Q&A episode before Christmas. Just questions and comments. We'll do one. And there's few rude comments about how we talk and stuff for us, so we might have to mention that as well.
Yeah.
There are good comments, lots of good comments, and there are a few rude ones as well, but I don't mind reading them. You don't mind, do
Yeah,
you?
love to hear that. Love to hear that.
Yeah, we'll make a list
We're
and
open
yeah.
for anything. That'll be interesting. Thanks a lot, everyone, for listening in. Hope to have more discussions about the LPL, which teams managed to get off the bottom of the ladder and make a case against Jaffna Kings at this stage of the tournament. Also, we might be able to know more details or might hear more about who is going to take up the Sri Lankan coaching gig.
Yes.
It's a bit of an unknown there. So let's see. We'll keep digging a few holes and see if there's a name that pops up that we feel will take over that mark. So
Yeah, if you hear something, send us a message. We love to know. Yeah, let's wrap it up there. If you got any comments, any feedback, send it to srilankancricketpodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow us in our socials. Bora and I are both active on Twitter, so give us a follow. We'll add all these links in the show notes. So until next time, see you soon.
see you guys.